Number 7, who's making a run. There's nobody in front of him. Oh, man.
All right, hello everyone, and welcome back to the NBP, the No Beaters podcast. My name is Gabe, and I'm joined by my co-hosts Bryan and Nate as always, and we are back again for another episode of the podcast. And in this week's episode, we have lots of sort of stories and news around the Quidditch world, as well as a quick little discussion about an interesting post that was made in the American Quidditch discussion with regards to Seeker and Stitch on pitch play. So we'll get to that as well, and we're looking forward to an awesome episode. So to start off though, boys, anything new in the world, in life for you guys before we get into the episode?
There's
I know it's pretty bleak right now, but
there's stuff going on. Ukraine, Russia, it's terrible. Things are bad. Lots of sanctions, lots of political stuff. Not for this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
What is sports related is the MLB and the MLPA are ruining baseball, and I hate it. And that's more this podcast, and it frustrates me. I could go on a full hour about that, and I do not want to right now. It's Friday for us here, and I want us to be happy.
I will say real quick on that though. I was reading an article and watched a video on the whole MLB thing, and more so as it relates to just like over the years, like MLB and like baseball in general, especially in North America, has like kind of been on decline. And this is crazy, but apparently MLS, like Major League Soccer, is about to if the trends continue as they're going, will surpass MLB in terms of like maybe not league popularity, but like league awareness, I guess. Just because of like the average demographic of MLB and baseball. It's
old,
aging demographic.
It's old,
so it's scary. It's scary for baseball and baseball fans. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, it's a mess. And when you have like the best player in the world basically being Mike Trout on a team with the most marketable player in the MLB being Shohei Ohtani, who is last season did something that no one's done in like 100 years since Babe Ruth.
Mm-hmm.
And no one cared about that team. You have a marketing problem with your sport. Yeah. There's so many issues with baseball right now, and it's so frustrating. And I hope something gets done. I want Toronto baseball. I want Vlad Jr. to play in Toronto, and I think I saw a stat in like 4 years he's only had like 344 plate appearances in Toronto, which is like just more than half a season worth of playing in Toronto, which you play half your season at home, half away. So like he's played a quarter of what he should be in Toronto. Wow. It's terrible. It's so bad.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, hopefully they can figure that out and get the season rolling because, I mean, I'm not a huge baseball fan, but you never want to, like, especially with the Jays and stuff like that, you don't want to see players like not playing. It's hopefully they can get it like solved and figured out, but it's definitely disappointing for baseball fans for sure. What about you, Nate? Anything special? Anything new going on with you?
Like right now for school, we're at a time where we're like waiting for grad program acceptances, so it's pretty stressful right now. So right now I'm currently waiting. And if all goes wrong, I gotta figure out, I guess, a backup plan for next year and figure out what direction I'll take with my life going forward. But right now, we're kind of just waiting to hear back in the next couple of days or next week or so and see what happens. But
yeah,
nice, cool. We'll be optimistic and hope for the best for that. But awesome. So we'll hop into the episode then. We'll start with Quidditch around the world, I guess we'll call it. So first point here we have was. I'd written down was officially not using Quidditch anymore. So I don't know if you guys had a chance to see this, but I noticed a lot of the MLQ and USQ posts that were being made in particularly the American Quidditch. Again, I guess they're not using Quidditch anymore. Discussion group. They're not using the word Quidditch anymore. So if I can find an actual post, whenever they're talking about Quidditch or they're trying to refer to Quidditch, they either put like Q, like ... or like Q.
Blanks or underscores.
Blank, yeah, exactly. So I know that we already had our sort of chat on the whole Quidditch renaming thing, and there's also a really good you guys get a chance to listen to it, and the listeners as well. I forgot what's the name of that podcast. Total Quidditch, I believe is what it's called. They have a fantastic episode that they did where they give a European perspective on the whole name change. It's like over an hour long. It was really, really interesting. But anyways, I just want to quickly guys get your thoughts on, I guess, the USQ and MLQ officially deciding that Quidditch will be renamed regardless of what the name is.
I'm trying to mystery super sleuth solve it. I think my idea of quid, just doing QUID, shortening it, I think it might be the answer because I'm sitting here looking at the post from Amanda Dallas, and there's Q, and then there's 1, 2, 3 underscores. All my Wordle experience over the last month and a half, it's 4 letters, and that's all that's popping up. QUID. If they go quad, then it's typical Wordle luck. But I think it might be quid. It's interesting.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a bad idea.
I didn't see that, but I think it makes the most sense. Like, I know we had our discussion on it, but quid just seems most natural. But I didn't recognize that. It's pretty funny. Like, have 3.
I'm reading way spaces. Too much into it. I'm telling you.
Hey, you never know. Could be a leak. I thought that was really funny when I saw that. But hey, we'll see what kind of happens. I guess in the coming weeks and months as we get closer to MLQ season. So speaking of Quidditch, we'll focus on Quidditch Canada. So there's an update for Quidditch Canada, which is exciting. So this was posted in the CQA group chat for those that have a chance to see it through Katie Brown, so the new manager with Team Canada, which is super exciting. Congrats to her, by the way, as well for getting that position. So this was posted again for those who haven't seen. National team's getting back to open practices. There's a Discord as well for those that aren't part of that. If you want to stay up to date with some of the Team Canada stuff, hop on there. So it'll be in Kingston next weekend. So that's March 12th. That'll be arriving at 5 p.m. for dinner, and then practice will be on the 13th. My apologies. So March 13th, from 7:30 to 11 a.m., as well as the evening practice. Sorry, the evening practice as well on March 12th, 8:30 to 11 p.m. So March 12th and March 13th. Super exciting. So there's a register link there, as well as if you're looking to kind of carpool or whatever, there's a travel link there as well. If you're interested in Ontario, so you're in the East, there's that. And then there's also a practice scheduled for the West in Vancouver on March 26th in the afternoon. And then early morning practice on March 27th. Again, there's a register link there for those that are interested. So this is probably the first sort of real Quidditch we've been able to see, I guess, in Canada for a while now, I guess. So it would be a really good opportunity for those that haven't really been able to play. I know that some of the university teams haven't really had a chance to play. So really good opportunity to get out. I think they're really encouraging even players that aren't really interested in necessarily playing for Team Canada, but even just kind of getting the opportunity to get out and practice, because I think there's a certain minimum they have to reach to have the practice. So if you are interested in even just getting out to play Quidditch, by all means reach out. I'm sure it's going to be a super great opportunity to get out and just play, getting ready for MLQ in the summer, and just being able to kind of shake off some of those cobwebs, because it has been a while, I'm sure, for a lot of people. So
I also want to say I'm super sad because that's unfortunately one of the weekends that I work. And I think I also have to dog sit for my girlfriend that weekend, so that's even double reason I can't make it. But as good as I am super happy about the method I think they're trying to adopt here of squeezing in more practice. People sometimes work on Saturdays, people work on Sundays, they have other commitments going on. Hey, drive up Saturday afternoon where you can. We'll do something later in the evening, do some team bonding. Right now it's hotels because of still COVID situation, which makes sense. And if people are able to house somewhere else, awesome. But then do something the next morning. You have opportunities to practice twice. If you can only make one, you make one. I think this is a great step, and I'm very sad I'm missing it, but I'm looking forward to the next practice.
Yeah, for sure. I'm in the same boat. I have to work that weekend as well. So I won't be able to go, but yeah, I highly recommend for anyone that's sort of close to Kingston, and then also like the facility they're using is fantastic. I love being able to play there. So yeah, it'll be a great time. So anyone that is interested, please reach out to KD, anyone Team Canada, Howie, and register through that link that's posted in the CQA group there. Now, USQ. So there's been a lot of USQ action going on. So again, we'll just quickly highlight it. I haven't had a chance to go through a lot of it. There's just so much to cover. But for those that are interested, again, in the American Quidditch discussion group, there's tons of USQ content coming out, as well as Eighth Man. They did a recent episode on their podcast, kind of covering sort of their rankings of the collegiate club scene down in the US. So if you get a chance, highly recommend checking that out, because there's lots of great Quidditch in the US. So a great opportunity to kind of learn from some of the best, if you will, at the sport. So check that out. And then lastly, again, speaking of MLQ tryouts are happening, boys. It's like literally around the corner. I was just prior to airing, we were talking about how quickly this year seems to be flying by. We're already in March, which is just crazy. Apparently on Sunday where I am, at least, it's supposed to be up to 11 degrees. So the weather is getting warm, which is awesome. But yeah, MLQ tryouts are coming. So any exciting thoughts about MLQ tryouts? Anything we're looking forward to with tryouts?
I want to just get out there. I'm excited. I want to run around, have warmish weather for whatever that means in Canada. Yeah, I'm excited. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I think just having the opportunity as well to actually play this season, a part of the league, it actually gives you something to look forward to. Like, you actually motivated to actually go out and practice instead of what it was like last summer, where you're just kind of just doing our own things up here across the border. So definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah, for sure. It'll be nice to definitely get out and enjoy some nice spring cool weather, and not like freezing cold. Not too hot though. We'd like to keep it a little cool. But yeah, looking forward to that. So that will be in the next few months, I guess. So really exciting there. And then again, focus on MLQ. I'll pull up the article here. So we have the announcement from MLQ about the North Division Championship location. So this is really exciting. I'll quickly go through the article here. So this was posted on the 22nd of February. So MLQ has announced the 2022 MLQ North Division Championships will be hosted in South Bend, Indiana, at the Indiana Innovators Sports Hall on July 23rd and 24th, 2022, in partnership with Visit South Bend, Mishawaka. I hope I didn't mispronounce that, but this is a quote from them. So they're very excited to welcome MLQ and North Division teams to our area. This will be the very first Quidditch tournament that will be held in our city, and we're thrilled to add it to our rich sports resume. We're committed to growing this partnership with MLQ for many years to come, said Nick Kelva. He's the sport tourism manager at Visit South Bend, Mishawaka. So again, for the reminder, for those that aren't familiar, this MLQ Divisional Championship is the first ever. It will feature all 6 North Division teams, including the return of the Rochester Rideout and the Toronto Raiders. So they were, again, Rochester division last year, for those who aren't familiar, and then the Toronto Raiders will be returning after the hiatus due to COVID. So super, super exciting. Obviously, Bryan, you are going to be the man of the North this year for MLQ related content. So what are your thoughts on the announcement for North Division Championships?
I'm pretty happy overall. I have not been there. I've driven through Indiana a couple years back when we went to Indianapolis. Great city, nice and warm. And by nice and warm, I mean really, really hot. So hopefully we don't have to deal with the heat level that we did that weekend, but hopefully like a couple, like 100 kilometers north or whatever it is, hopefully that helps. They said they really wanted to centralize it. And I want to touch on this real quickly. And I think they did, in my opinion, a really good job, because there's no perfect solution for like all 6 teams being like an equidistant thing apart.
Mm-hmm.
Being that it is in Indiana, Indianapolis is the closest team at 2 hours and 30 minutes.
Wow.
Which is not bad. Like that's not a bad commute by any means. They're the closest. It's in Indiana. Frankly, they've won how many years? I think this is a good reward, although Minneapolis did win last year. Between Detroit, Cleveland, Rochester, Toronto, and Minneapolis, who do you think is the next closest and the farthest teams away from South Bend, Indiana? And how long do you think it takes?
Let me look at my map for a second.
No Google Maps.
No Google Maps.
We're Canadian. We have no recollection of U.S. geography in our mind.
Well, I know.
Yeah, honestly, like this is gonna be embarrassing. I don't know. I don't know much about the like U.S. quite frankly in terms of cities. If I had to guess, I would say closest would be Minneapolis, but I have no idea. And then I'm gonna guess furthest would have to be Toronto. I'm assuming, but that's just my guess.
I'm trying to remember so Cleveland's in Ohio, which isn't too far away.
So just for reference, where things are, I'll give you this, Gabe, because both your answers were wrong. I'm flat out tell you, very, very, very wrong.
Wow. Okay.
So if Indiana's here,
Mm-hmm.
Illinois is here, and then you have Milwaukee, and then you have Minnesota. Okay, so there's a little bit of Illinois that you touch. Indianapolis, above it's Michigan. To the right of it is Ohio, and then you have New York State off to the edge. Where Cleveland is, and you follow that up, you go toward Rochester. Across the lake from Rochester is Toronto, crossing the border.
So then Detroit would be closest then, right?
Detroit is indeed closest.
Okay. And then furthest Rochester then?
You think Rochester? Nate, what do you think?
Well, you said it wasn't Toronto, right?
It was not Toronto.
It would have to be like furthest up.
I'll just go and say Cleveland, just because.
So closest after Indianapolis is Detroit at 3 hours 30 minutes. Indianapolis is 2.5. Cleveland's at 4, which isn't too bad. Toronto's at 6.5, and that was based off of going up towards Sarnia and then back down. So maybe it's like 6:15, depending on traffic and routes and stuff. Minneapolis is 7.5, and Rochester's 8, which is shocking to me.
Wow.
As like I thought they'd be a lot closer because they're not too far from Cleveland. Like between Cleveland, Rochester, and Toronto, it's almost like a perfect triangle of like distance. Like one is 3 hours, one is 3.5 hours, and another one is like 3 hours. So it's like a really nice, easy thing. Vastly different like times for the three of us to get to there.
So what would be the most like if they were to pick a more central location, what would be the most central? Like I know it's not really central, but
frankly, I don't think there is one. I think they kind of hit it as close as they can because unless Minneapolis wants to take a flight somewhere, they have a lake in the way. Like they have, I think it's Lake Superior, right? Whatever comes down. They don't really have an option, but I have to commend MLQ for. I literally was like fiddling around with like different MLQ like Google Maps. I mean, and I literally couldn't find a like besides like moving a little bit one way or whatever. There's no place that's better. So good job MLQ. And sorry Rochester, we'll come back to the North Division. You have the longest trek by nearly double Cleveland. Actually double Cleveland. But yeah. All in all, pretty good location. I hope everything field wise and whatever is up to snuff, and I trust MLQ did their research.
Yeah, it'll be super exciting. Again, first time that MLQ is going to be putting this on, so it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I know there was a little bit of debate about whether like the sort of the late of it, but I think it's all encompassing. Like I think it's the best compromise for the division given the circumstances. So it'll be really interesting to see how that plays out come July. So we'll wait and see for that. Again, on the topic of MLQ, again, we have staff posting. So with tryouts coming out, naturally we're going to have some teams posting staff. So I think we're saying off air that we've officially reached the halfway point of the staff postings like publicly. So we'll hop into it. So we'll start with the East. So in the East we have Ottawa making their posts, and then Washington and Charlotte as well. So I did want to highlight quickly Washington's post. So I know we had made, or we had a discussion about the whole Washington Commanders within NFL and the whole settlement money thing that we're joking about. But again, this is a little cheeky post that I don't know if it was intentional, but I think it probably was. But March 2nd on their Facebook page, they made the post with their franchise's staff. So it says, "Ahoy sailors, here are the commanders of the Washington Quidditch team for the 2022 season." So little dig at the Washington football team, I think, based on the wording of that post. But anyways, all jokes aside, the franchise staff, quickly read through it here. So manager Don Bailey, and then notably head coach Tyler Trudeau, assistant coach Julie Bear, and then assistant coach for Chasers Justin Cole, and assistant coach for Beaters Cody Nardone. So any thoughts on that coaching staff in particular from Washington, or any maybe comment on the whole Washington Commanders sort of cheekiness there?
I don't know. I frankly haven't played against Washington, and I kind of wish I've had the opportunity. Like, I've played against the North teams, and frankly, unfortunately, I've only played against the South because I played San Antonio and League City. I kind of want to play against the East, but as far as I know about stuff like Trudeau and Julia Bear, I believe are a couple. As far as the last time I know, hopefully I didn't like bring up any bad blood or something if they broke up, but I doubt that.
No, I think you're right.
But with them both knowing each other fairly well from national team and playing together in regular season, and last year kind of coming and taking the like reins of this franchise, you kind of have your, I think, head coach and assistant coach just being listed as like nothing, no title. I think it's basically co-head coach and co-head coach between them. When one of them is on, I think they usually play together on the line, but if they split them up, you can at least divvy that up. At the same time, you also have two more coaches between Justin Cole, which played great. I think he came also from the Boston franchise. I might be mistaken there. And Cody Nardone, Washington putting together a beater core out of a bunch of kind of unknown entities last year and really impressing. Yeah, good choices. I'm excited to see what they do, but yeah, very, very interesting. Lots of pedigree and lots of talent.
Yeah, I wasn't too surprised with at least Trudeau and Julia Bear being like, I guess, the lead head coach and probably lead assistant coach or head coaches.
Yeah,
like definitely have that expertise playing for numerous years and playing on the national team. So I wasn't really surprised from that regard. Although I don't remember playing. I guess if Justin came from Boston, because we played Gabe and we played Washington at the New York Super Series back in 2019, and I don't recall playing against Justin or Cody, but like I don't focus too much on the beater game. But I know at the point too, Tyler Trudeau was on Boston. So like, it's definitely a different Washington team than the last one that we played back in 2019 compared to last year, and I guess coming to this season as well. So it'd be fun to kind of rekindle that, I guess, a rivalry that we have with them back when we played in the regular season.
Yeah, for sure. It's yeah, I agree, Nate. It's definitely gonna be a different team than what we played, like I guess 2 years ago now. But yeah, no, I agree that Todd Drew, Julie Bear, obviously, are, I guess, in Quidditch within the U.S. for sure. And yeah, I think Ethan Stern nailed on the head last year when we were talking about like what the Washington team and what they would be, and seeing like a healthy Todd Drew. I know that when we had played them last, it seemed like, because I remember everyone saying like, oh, he's such a great player or whatever, and like he don't get me wrong, he was great when we were playing against him, but he just didn't seem like that like dynamic player that everyone said he was. But then watching him play last year, it just seemed like he was a completely different player. And I think obviously injuries were hampering him when I guess when we were playing him, but like it was almost as if he was a completely different player. So it'll be really exciting to play against them and see how he plays like as a healthier version of himself. But yeah, and it'll be really exciting to see sort of how like their coaching dynamic as a couple and like sort of their play as well on the field. So
I'd also want to say I think I as far as I know, the injury thing has like as far as I know of his existence there, he's dealt with a lot of injuries and stuff. So maybe I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm pretty confident in that. And he's probably nice and healed up, and it obviously showed. I think there is also something to say that like with him, I believe they took over last year as coaches. But I think it kind of speaks to them being in charge in that thing, so they could probably, with their experience and what they know and how they play, they could probably implement like a system that benefits them or the players they have, right? Like when you're playing in Boston, you're playing with Max Havlin, Lulu Zhu, Jake Archibald, Teddy Costa, Grace Dastu, so many players. Like there's I can't list them all, and I'm not trying to like point out to anyone, but you have so much talent that I'm not saying they got pushed aside in any way, but you need to have a system that works pretty continuously. And when you have big pieces, sure, maybe they're like line 1, line 2, whatever. Maybe conflicting offensive styles kind of hampers that. You move them to a different team, you get creativity and you get different players to play with. And like Brian Mulcahy, I think, as I said, Justin Cole, they come over. So like the familiarity's there. Like they have systems that they know and they have familiarity. Now they're just expanding on it, and we'll see what the result is, because as far as we know from last season, they look damn good.
Yeah, there's something to be said about continuity as well. So being able to, and I think it's a thing that with American teams in general, it just seems that like they have like a constant pool of talent like year over year, and they're able to kind of like keep continuity within their team, not just from the coaching staff, but with their players, but also have like a new wave of like talent as well. So it's something I think that like Canadian teams have kind of struggled with in the past, like kind of trying to constantly bring in like consistent teams. So I think that's something that they're going to be benefiting from. So I'm hoping that that's what we can get to as Canadian programs within MLQ. But yeah, for sure, I think continuity is going to be huge for them. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But yeah, that's Washington's coaching staff posted for the 2022 MLQ season. We also had in the East, Charlotte posted as well. So this was posted earlier today, actually. So their franchise staff will consist of Hannah Reese as a manager, notably Lee Hodge as a head coach, and then John Kaiser as assistant coach for the Charlotte Aviators. So any thoughts on those individuals being posted for the franchise staff? Notably, I guess the Lee Hodges for the head coach there.
I was big on Charlotte last year. I think we know that. I know as much as you guys know, like as much as I try to figure out. Lee Hodge was really a star and a backbone of their team. I believe he was coach last year. I might be wrong. I don't remember the records, and I can't look them up easily. But yeah, I think continuity, they have something. No disrespect to their other staff members. I bet they do great. I just don't really know who they are, and I can't really talk about their character or abilities or anything. But they run their franchise damn well, I'll say that much.
Yeah, it's nice for them to come back for a second season, because at first I don't think it was guaranteed necessarily that they'd be a part of the league kind of beyond the first year. So it's nice for them to kind of get that affirmation that they will be continuing in the league. So it's nice to have like a core set on like who's going to be kind of the players will be building around, at least in terms of leadership. So having those positions kind of established and kind of continuing on with that, and then kind of just basically growing the program over time, over the years. So it'll just be nice to see how they do in their second year coming up.
Yeah, I think the second year for any team is always exciting to watch. So yeah, obviously Lee was a hell of a player for them last year. So again, we'll see how he kind of guides the ship, as I say, or I guess guides a plane is a better way of putting it. But yeah, it'll be really really interesting to see how they kind of shape up this year in our second year within the league. And we'll see if Bryan is as bullish on them as he was last year. Come our prediction episode. But yeah, so we'll move into the north then. So we have 4 teams at the post.
Sorry, there's one more East team that we need to talk about.
And yes, I guess. Yeah, we'll highlight Ottawa as well. I didn't want to drown out a little bit, but yeah. So Ottawa Black Bears as well posted their coaching staff or franchise staff for the 2022 season. So head coach will be Darren Bell from Carleton. Assistant coach Haley Yap. Assistant coach Nate Reed. Assistant coach.
I know that is.
What?
Assistant coach Gabe Ferreira. And our manager, hang on here. He's a non-playing manager here.
Manager. Misha Whittingham.
Yeah. So yeah, that's gonna be exciting. We're looking forward to the season. I think we have a pretty tight-knit group, coaching and managing. So yeah, it'll be exciting. We'll I don't want to brown nose this too much, but any thoughts on the coaching there, Nate?
So like it'd be pretty cool to see like this new established leadership group, since none of us in the past have been like head coach, assistant coach, manager of the Black Bears. So it's basically like a new set of management players coming in into management positions. And a lot of us have played with each other, whether it was through Carleton or Queens or the Otters. So we already have kind of that synergy and that chemistry within our leadership group. So I'm sure that'll help translate onto the field as well once we get the season started. And of course, we have a good talent pool of players in the Ottawa area to pull from. So it'll be pretty exciting.
I like it. Real quick question for both of you. You got 3 words to describe your coaching style. No, that's 1, Nate. What's the other 2?
I know, like I have to think about it because this is like my coaching debut, I guess, in terms of like a sports team. So I'm sure it'll take some feeling out in terms of what works for me, I guess. So I can't really say right now what my coaching style is, but I'm sure as a few practices take place, I'm sure I'll be able to like establish kind of where it works best for me, like what I'm most comfortable with and all that. So, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yes, it's my coaching debut as well. I'd like to say I'm calm, cool, and collected, but I'm sure that when the stress of the series, especially that one series we have against Charlotte and Washington, kicks in, it'll be a different story. But yeah, it's kind of same boat as Nate. We'll see kind of. We'll see how things turn out once we kind of get going. But yeah, no, I'm really excited. I think we have a really good group. Yeah, I think it's Darren's done some coaching stuff with Carleton as well. But
yeah.
In terms of like actually with the Black Bears, like you said, it's going to be official, like the first official coaching, I guess, of all us together running the ship. So it'll be yeah, really exciting, and hopefully we can qualify for MLQ Championship weekend. I think that's the big goal for us this year. But yeah, we'll see how it turns out.
Very nice.
Yeah, so we'll move into the north end. So there's 4 postings there within the north. So we have Mini, Cleveland, Rochester, and Indy. Again, we'll kind of direct most of this to Bryan. I know a little bit about the north, but probably not as much as Bryan does. But we'll start off with Indianapolis. No surprises here with the head coach assignment of Nathan Digman. But other franchise staff members will be Ali Marcus, who will be the manager. Christina Packard will be the assistant manager. And then your assistant coaches being Matt Brown, assistant coach Kennedy Murphy, and assistant coach Danny Yakub. So any thoughts on the Indy announcements there, Bryan?
Yeah. All in all, I would say, I guess the best word I can use to describe it, experienced. Ali Marcus, great manager. She's I stayed at her house with most of the Toronto team when we went down to Indianapolis. Great hosts. She knows what she's talking about. She's experienced. She knows how to control the group. Christina Packard, keeper for Indianapolis. I don't know if she'll be playing or not. She's a very solid player. But you never know with assistant manager role what that entails. Nathan Digman, he's run the ship there for a long time, and probably knows the division more than anyone. Matt Brown, solid. I believe he sticks to beating. I don't know if he plays chaser a little bit. I can't remember, but very, very solid beater. Probably tied 1-2 with their other beating coach, Danny Yakub. Both very, very talented beaters, and I'd say two of the most talented beaters in the entire division. They're in the top 3 or 4 very, very easily. And Kennedy Murphy, I don't know too much about, but I do know that Indianapolis has a very, very strong group of female chasers that they always kind of enable to ball handle, like drive and dish kind of situations. Like they know their systems and they execute it to perfection. So I have a very good feeling that they're going to know what they're doing here in Indianapolis, like they do almost every year.
Yeah, it'll be a big year for them too. Just given last year with Mini kind of taking over the division there. So it'll be interesting to see how they kind of respond to that. I know we were talking a little bit off air as well, but Digman and how he's been kind of running things for Indianapolis for last few years. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he kind of changes things up perhaps with that. But that'll be an interesting storyline for sure with them. So yeah, that's the indie coaching staff, and then we'll go over to Mini.
Yeah.
So Minneapolis is posting on March 2nd. So their coaching and franchise staff looks like the following. So manager will be Gwen Eldridge. Head coach will be Cody Nervison. Assistant coach April Grabner. She was also shout out to her for North Division MVP, I believe, last year. So that'll be a notable player there. Liz Hunter, assistant coach, and assistant coach Alex Obenor.
Yes.
Did I pronounce it?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So yeah, thoughts on that coaching staff in Mini?
I frankly don't know a lot. I can only say so much for once. Cody Nervison's been there since the beginning. Like you mentioned, April Grabner, MVP. I believe MVP last year.
I'm pretty sure she was. Yeah.
Yeah, you said that, and I was like, yeah, that's absolutely correct. I've seen Alex like Obenor OB play a little bit, but I frankly haven't watched Minneapolis as much as I've wanted to. I've heard his name a lot, so I assume he's been a big player on their teams. My biggest problem was during like regular season play, we never get great footage from wherever Minneapolis is playing. It's always far, it's always ground level, and then when you try and like that, when they've shown up for championships, they've underperformed, frankly, and unfortunately. But yeah, I don't know a ton about their whole staff in general. I think they have talent, and I think a lot of their team is going to be coming from the TCQC USQ club team. So I think there's going to be familiarity there. Will some of the players move in and out? Absolutely. But I don't have enough intel to really say that yet. We'll see when rosters come out, of course. Really, the name is Max Meyer, and what is he doing? And will anyone be able to stop him? And the answer is also no. So,
yeah. And again, it'll be another big year for them. Obviously, defending North champs, so we'll see how that shapes out as well. So last two teams here in the North, we'll go to Rochester. A couple names recognized there. So their franchise staff is going to look like Harry Clark as a manager, Rachel Zelensky as assistant manager, and then we have Solomon Giminiak, head coach, and Elise.
I think it's Liz Giroso.
Liz Giroso. Okay, cool. Assistant coach. The two names to recognize there. So thoughts on Rochester's coaching and franchise staff for the season?
I don't know Rochester. I really don't.
They're kind of a wild card a little bit.
I think so. I think you guys would maybe know him a little more than I do from your experience when they played out east. I don't know what to say that much though.
Yeah, no, it's fair.
Like,
Nate, go ahead.
Like, I'm only really familiar with Solomon. He's definitely one of their best players, core players. Really like runs the show for their team offensively, chase-wise, and also I'm sure he was head coach last year as well, I believe. So he's definitely a core key member to that franchise overall, both on the pitch and off the pitch. Actually, I'm not sure if the pronouns are he or they. I'll just say they for now.
I think it may be there. I'm not really sure though.
I remember. Yeah. I believe it's I'll stay with they just in case. They also played in a couple Canada Day fantasy tournaments up across the border. So I've played with them on that occasion a couple times. So definitely a great player to have on your team. Great experience.
Yeah, I think I remember being really like bullish. I think the term's bullish. Like I didn't expect a lot out of them last year because I had heard that they were losing some players. But you know what? Like you never know. Like they have talent. Solomon Gominiak, I believe, is still playing national team level Quidditch. I think they had a couple good rookies last year. Liz Giroso can hold their own. Like they have players that can come out of that Rochester team that won World Cup or USQ Cup, whatever it was at the time, years ago. The question is, how much older talent do you have, and how much younger talent are you trying to foster into the system? So I don't know. I think with experienced players is good, but
I feel like last year they had a lot of turnover. Yeah. So I think when we did our rankings, I think we all had them finish in last place in the division, based on that fact that we weren't too sure how they would fare up against the East at that time, and then also just the fact they had a lot of turnover that was expected. So it'll be interesting to see how they can bounce back this season with having more experience.
Yeah, I think with all the teams, obviously the final roster will be the most sort of telling of kind of what we can make in terms of predictions. But I think especially with Rochester, I don't know. I don't really know a ton about Rochester's coaching staff in terms of experience. Obviously they have national level experience with Solomon, and so I don't really know. It'll be interesting to see how that kind of shapes out with like you said, Nate and Bryan, in terms of the turnover. Because I think personally I was a little more bullish on them that last year, but because of all that turnover, it was just kind of like hard to really predict. But
I think I think one thing real quick that I just crossed my mind that might really help them or hurt them. I don't know. They changed division again. They were in the north. They went over to the east. Now they're back in the north again. Maybe people have experience against them. Maybe people remember older versions of them. Maybe they remember older versions of people. Who knows at this point? Like they've had so much change in their franchise in the last couple of years that it's a wild card.
And weren't they Northern champs the last year before they got switched over? So it's basically them returning back to the division.
I think so, yeah.
Because I remember, when they first made the switch, I was like, how is it fair that we had the East, how strong it is, and then the best team from the North joining the East? So I'm pretty sure, they were first.
Yeah.
In their last year.
I appreciated it. I thought it was great. But yeah, no, like they ended up, I think, finishing third the year that Toronto joined. Then the year off, and then they got fifth. But the big slope downwards, but really there's only up at this point. But yeah, it's big changes, really big changes.
Yeah, for sure. So again, we'll see how things shape up for them this upcoming season. And the last game we have posting within the North being the Cleveland Riff. So their franchise staff looks like the following. So we have Lacey Hutchman as the manager, Beth Hosek as the assistant manager, and then your coaching staff will be Gabe Boris as the head coach and Austin Howe as a head coach as well. So I'm assuming Chaser and Peter head coach staff there. So I don't recognize any of those names personally, but I don't know if you have any insight on those at all, Brian, by chance.
I'm trying to remember. Once again, I think I was working the weekend of MLQ championships last year, so I was trying to stream as much as I could while at work. It's fine. I got all my work done. That's the most important thing. Lacey Hutchman has been there for a while, and I think she's been the manager for a while. I can't remember if she played before, but her name sounds very familiar to me. Gabe and Austin Howe, I frankly don't remember either of them off the top of my head. What I do remember from Cleveland was 2 years ago, the year that was completely eliminated with pandemic stuff and no one played. They were slated to have Rachel Heald and Ben Strauss as their captains or coaches.
Yeah.
I don't know the status of either. Last year, Rachel was in Washington, yeah. I don't know what the status of Ben was. He wasn't able to make it to championships. No disrespect to their team is growing, and I think they took great steps, and their momentum is good. Ben Strauss, the second he steps on the field, he's the best player for their team. He is one of the best players in the division the second he's on the roster. I don't know what his status is. I think he's probably stepping back to give new people a chance to step up, which is great. But I don't know. I think they are the polar opposite in my mind to Rochester. They have less experienced head coaches that aren't as notable name wise. However, the momentum that their team is on is literally perpendicular to Rochester. Rochester has been going down for the last little bit. Cleveland end of season was right up. It was going great. So how they continue that momentum, it'll be interesting. But yeah, we won't really know till stuff goes. But yeah, I think if they kind of keep that culture growing, good things are going to happen.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, that kind of wraps up. Oh, I guess we have the South as well, but I think we'll hold off on the South because there's only the one team, that being Kansas City, that posted their rosters there. So we'll hold off on the South for next week, and we'll highlight the South all sort of together with the other teams, hopefully making their announcements as well. But notably in the East, we have the two big juggernauts being New York and Boston, and then obviously in the North, East. I said North, East, and then in the North, we have obviously the one and only Toronto Raiders. So we'll wait for those announcements and hopefully have them to you guys next week. And yeah, so one last point here we have here before we get into who are the two for the week was a really cool post that Tyler Beck, or I believe it wasn't Tyler Beckman who made the post, but it was his sort of work that
it's his YouTube channel, I believe. Quad Ball Corp on Core. Corp or Core? I don't know.
Yeah, Corp. I think it's Corp.
Yeah.
It was Justin Barner that had made the post in the American Quidditch discussion. Again, if you haven't a chance to kind of go through it, I highly recommend kind of going through the actual Facebook group. There's tons of fantastic information there for all the Quidditch nerds and players out there. But anyway, so to get to it, so Justin Barner had made that post. It's Tyler Beckman's Beckman's YouTube channel. And basically, what he does is he has two YouTube sort of posts that he made. One of them where he kind of goes into why, and the title of the video is quite literally, why does no one know this catcher rule? So, sort of the gist of the video is that according to the USQ rule, most recent rule within the rule book, I'll read it verbatim here. So it's a snitch catch is confirmed when all the following are true. A seeker has detached the snitch tail from the snitch runner and holds sole possession of the snitch tail during the instant that it is separated from the snitch runner. So the keyword here being instant. And within the video, he shows a bunch of kind of clips. Most of them, I think, are from him actually seeking. But where he kind of breaks down sort of this rule and why it's being if you interpret it literally, how it's actually being called incorrectly. So there was two clips in particular. One that kind of stands in my mind where he goes and reaches behind. So he goes between the legs of the snitch, and it's actually pretty incredible catch, where he kind of puts his hand between the legs of the snitch, and he grabs the snitch tail, and you can hear the Velcro like rip, and it's at that instant where he pauses the video, and you can see he has possession of the snitch tail in his hand, and by the time he actually falls down, he loses possession of the snitch tail. In this case, it was called off, and it was considered no catch. But if you read the rule, according to the rule, it's technically a catch because he has, for that microsecond where he paused the video, he has possession of the snitch tail in his hand. It's released from the snitch, the waistband of the snitch. So therefore, it should be a good catch. So yeah, that's his argument. At the end, he does make a point about the fact that in real time, that the odds of actual snitch ref being able to see that, even if they were looking directly at the snitch tail the whole time, that like microsecond where there's the possession of the snitch tail in the hands of the seeker, like the chances of you catching that are like you would like, even with video replay, it's hard to see. Like even when he's trying to explain in like where he's pausing the video, it's incredibly difficult to see. But he does make the point that we have to be careful how we're calling these rules because according to that rule, those sort of videos where he was making the point about should have been like called good. So, and the one video he actually shows where he actually is arguing with, like not arguing, but he's like kind of trying to have a discussion with the ref about the fact that like he thought he had it. And anyway, so long story short, I just want to kind of get your thoughts real quick here on sort of the video, sort of the rule, and what do you think moving forward we should kind of go with? Should we go with what the rule is currently, or do you think we should kind of lean more towards possession, even like possession when you hit the ground, like regardless of if you have arm contact with a snitch or leg or whatever, when you hit the ground, should it be possession or should it be that microsecond of possession, if you will?
I think they have to include some sort of element where like the snitch ref is able to indicate that the seeker has full possession of the snitch tail, like because at the end of the day, they're the ones that make the call along with the snitch runner. They either agree or deny that it's a good catch or not. So sure, in the instant you can catch it and like it's clean, but then you need that confirmation from the snitch ref to say, okay, it's a clean catch. They have possession. So when it talks about like the instant they get possession, it counts as a good catch. The snitch ref still has to be able to confirm that, so they have to be just as aware as the seeker when he catches it that it's instant. So I guess it doesn't matter like if they fall down and they drop it. Like, of course, if the snitch ref sees that they caught it and they drop it, or they fall down to the ground, they drop it, like they know it's already a good catch. It's almost like as if when like the seekers like they catch it and they kind of celebrate by tossing it into the air, sort of thing. But that's usually after the snitch ref confirms it. So I think it really comes down to the confirmation of the snitch ref indicating it's clean, and then do whatever you want after that.
Yeah. I just want to confirm, I believe, and I assume he's read this because it says in there like assuming a snitch catch is confirmed when all of the following are true, and that was point 1. I assume there was other points, and I assume like that's like you didn't interfere with the snitch. There wasn't another play. I'm gonna assume that's all covered and good.
Yeah.
If that's the case, there's been a bunch of snitch catches that have been incorrectly called. I'm very firmly, I think he caught a major blunder here. The implementation of it, kind of like what Nate alluded to, like that's kind of the gray area, right? Like if you need a YouTube video frame by frame to catch what happened, it's going to be hard for someone to watch in real time. And like refs have a hard enough job. A lot of people bash on like NHL refs for like bad officiating, and there's problems with their whole league with officiating. However, like this is a very like smaller game and sport in comparison. And if you're distinguishing like split second things, I'm not going to get mad at a ref for that. But for all the times that there has been a snitch catch and someone like has it, and as their hand hits the ground, and they lose contact because of that jolt, technically he pointed out they had it. It's disconnected from the waistband and it's there. Like I don't know. Like if we want to do it as you have to have a full control of it or whatever, I'm cool with that. But like right now, that's not what the rule says.
Mhm.
Someone's got to fix it.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I think he does make the point at the end that he thinks that it should be possession. And I think most people would probably do it just because of like I can already see like the debates happening when like you're gonna have seekers being like, oh, I had it, and like the refs like gonna be kind of put in a like rock and hard place basically where he's like, well, did he actually have it? And like you never want to have a ref kind of like trying to guess.
You don't want to
with
put the
someone else's
ref in a
decision.
bad position. Like
Exactly. Yeah.
Keep yourself.
So
away from
it's just a nightmare waiting to happen if you do it that way. So I think having a rule change is like necessary because again the way that it's being called right now is incorrect based on what the rule says. So I think moving forward we probably should have that change because we're not following our own rule book. So so that was the first video I posted. In the second follow-up video, he actually goes into some of the stats he's been able to kind of track. I forget which sort of league it was, or sort of group of games that he was compiling, but he basically has like I think he has like tens of games he's basically compiled into this Google Docs sort of spreadsheet where he breaks down some of the stats associated with seekers. So I'll quickly pull that up here as well. All right, so here it is. I got it here. So so anyways, in the spreadsheet, he has the name of the seeker, as well as the games, catches, clutch catches. So clutch catches being defined as within snitch range. And then he has like sort of individual stats. Some of them he does mention that he has like a separate document. I wasn't able to find that what he was referencing to, but he basically breaks down each individual stat and like the math behind it. So some of the key sort of stats or sort of numbers he's come up with. So catches per game. So that's obviously the number of catches divided by the number of games you played in. Total engaging time. So that's time that the seeker is actually actively engaging with the snitch. Other stats here. So I'm trying to remember ETPC. I think it's engaged time per catch. So that would be the total engaged time divided by the number of catches, I believe. So again, really interesting sort of numbers. You're trying to come up with objective numbers that we can base subjectively as coaches to come up with like some sort of what we think is most important. So whether you think engaged time is important, coming up with more objective numbers, and then from that, as coaches, subjectively trying to figure out what we think is most important for a seeker. So again, there is a lot of value in stats. We've talked about it before, but like actually being able to come up with this information is like more than half of the battle, I would say, just because of like looking at these spreadsheets and seeing how much time and effort he's put into like actually breaking down each game and coming up with the numbers. And he makes note about like the whole, again, we've talked about it before on the podcast too, about like having quality film and like being able to actually see snitch on pitch play. So so huge shout out to him. But yeah, I just want to kind of get your thoughts on some of this sort of stat stuff maybe, and sort of overarching seeker and snitch on pitch play in general.
So congrats to him. It's awesome stuff. I honestly love it. There's when I look at like analytics and sports stats and stuff like that, there's two really big parts of it that are difficult. One, data collection. It sucks. It takes forever, and if people are bad at it, it screws your data set. Like you have wrong information. It's not what happened, right? Like I think it's, you look at NHL like shots per game and stuff, and there's so many times where they're awful. Face-offs, it's like, oh well, I put the puck backwards and then the other team goes and gets it, and it's like, did I win the face-off? No, not really. The other team has the puck. Like data collection can be really bad. The other part is understanding what you're doing, and like I like what you said there, like the engaged time per catch. Yeah, you could have a ton of engaged time. You could be one of those like seekers who are really fast and just you're always hounding the snitch. That's great, but you're not doing anything like that. I'm a big strong guy. I seeked like once or twice. I caught against Liam Cadden. I'll never let him forget it. But like, am I a really effective seeker? No, I just kind of like push, and then I was able to grab it. You want a snitch, in my mind, or seeker, sorry, to go in and with as little engaged time as possible to catch. but you need a larger data set because sometimes that affects it. What I really want to see out of this is, can you get data on snitches? Because I really want to know how good our snitches are, and I think we have some really good snitches throughout like divisions and whatnot. But I think at the same time, there's biases of like, oh, we know this guy's really good, so like, just like you got to wait and find your opportunity, and people change their strategies. Like maybe like certain snitch comes out and you're like, oh well, I know I'm not good against that guy, or it's this type of snitch, we're not going to do this seeker. Like it's interesting to see because there's a lot of stuff that can be gleaned just by the amount of time they have, and how much, like if you can track that at the same time, how much engaged time the snitch has with either seeker. Like they're not just standing around, like there's someone actively trying to get to them and they still have stamina, or they're still able to avoid. Like there's so much that can be gleaned here that'd be really, really interesting. It just requires the work. That's the really difficult part.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, like, it'd be cool if they can track like how effective each seeker is against like a particular type of snitch. So like this player's effective against this type, this player's effective against that type. So like for teams, if they have like access to this data to be able to strategize, okay, who's more likely going to catch this type of snitch, who's like tall, big and strong, most likely just gonna like stand still or stand in place and kind of toss you around, and then the other type of snitch who's gonna be running around the pitch, and so being able to put out like the seeker that's most fit for like each type of snitch is also a great way to kind of implement those that data.
Yeah, absolutely.
Analysis of the data.
Yeah, and it's interesting too because like I'm saying this and I'm like, oh, I the gears in my mind are spinning, right? Like I'm just like, oh, this could happen, and then this could happen, and like there's people like I reference a lot of baseball stats and a lot of NHL stats, and the NHL advanced stats, they're making them more user friendly because the baseball ones are just pure nerd stuff. Like it's arm angles, rotation per minute for your pitches, and all this garbage. The NHL, they're really trying to like break it down into numbers, like how much goals per 60, how many assists per 60. And one of the things you can kind of look at as well is like quality of teammate and quality of competition. Because if like you're a third line player, let's say for your team, you're like the third person in your rotation for quaffle lines, and you score a bunch of goals, that's great. But are you scoring them because you're really, really good? Or are you scoring them because the other team's third line is trash and that's all they could put out, and they're just like front loaded with like one or two really good lines or one or two really good players? So like there can be stuff said about like how good is your beater team with you, right? How good is like the beater team you're going up against? Like there's a lot of stuff that needs to be considered with this when you're looking at stats. But I think the base level of analyzing seekers, analyzing snitches is so interesting. There could be so much there.
Yeah, for sure. And I think again, I don't really know like some of the later stats that he has in the spreadsheet. I know that he was mentioning in the video where he's trying to kind of get at what you're getting at there, Bryan, where you talk about like sort of the matchup. So for example, a seeker may have like less engaging time with a snitch, but it could also be the level of competition that like or level of how competitive that individual snitch is. So it may not be a direct correlation of how good the seeker is, but it just could be that they're playing against the weaker snitches, so to speak. Yeah. So they have like he has this like average like rating or rating per catch kind of thing. And I think that has to do with the individual snitch that you're going up against and like the competitiveness of that snitch relative to the seeker. I think is what he's trying to get at with that number, which would be really interesting because again, that would address how good is the actual seeker and not so much like you're not just basing it on how do I word this? Like it's not like the individual number you're getting with the seeker is not like exclusive from the snitch, so to speak, if that makes sense. Like so I think that's what he's trying to address with that individual stat.
Stats are never as simple as they should, like as you think they are, but they're never as complicated as you think they are. Like there's logic to it, but it's like oh, this thing, there's a correlation, right? Like, oh, there's the amount of ice cream sales in a year, like by month, and the sale of ice cream and like shark attacks. They're really closely correlated, but this is not because if you eat ice cream, you're going to get attacked by a shark. It's people swim in the summer and they want ice cream, and sharks are in the water. Like, there's lots of things to consider, but it's very, very interesting.
Correlation doesn't equal causation, as I say. But yeah, so again, really, really cool stuff. And so shout out to him for putting that together. And hopefully we can see some of that potentially in QC. Who knows? Like I said, part of it is just the work that goes into it. So if someone has lots of free time and is willing to look at grainy stitch on pitch film or whatever film that we have for various Quidditch Canada games, that's what's going to take to do it, because that's arguably most of the work is coming up with the actual raw data to be able to analyze. So yeah, really, really cool stuff there. It'll be interesting to see what kind of comes of that sort of research, whether we see more of it within USQ, like I said, QC, and whether we see a rule change within the next edition of the rulebook. So awesome stuff there from him. And then, yeah, to wrap up the podcast, we have our classic Who Wore the Toque segment. So for me, my toque, I think I'm going to throw it out to I don't want to Brownos, but I want to throw it out to the Ottawa coaching staff. So shout out to Darren, Haley, Misha, and obviously Nate. This one goes out to you. Hopefully this is a toque to a good season. And here's hoping that we can qualify for MLQ Championship weekend. So my toque goes out to you guys.
Go ahead, Nate.
I'm still thinking of.
Oh, you're still thinking?
Right,
I'll give you some time here. My toque goes out to, arguably, maybe not. They're in the bottom two. One of the worst teams in F1, Haas. They are the American team. If anyone follows F1 or you don't follow F1, for the love of God, watch Drive to Survive. New season coming soon.
Coming out.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
It is a great show.
Awesome.
If you don't know what's going on in F1, it explains it incredibly well. Very, very cool. It's a fun ride and explains everything, and it's lots of cool characters. As we touched on at the beginning of the show, there's a bunch of Russia, Ukraine stuff, lots of sanctions. Not time and place for that. But I'll explain what happened in the last 48 hours. Haas, being the American F1 team, is for some reason sponsored by a Russian oil company, also fertilizer company, which is Urkali, who is owned by an oligarch who basically funded the team and said, I want my son on one of the driver spots. And that kind of happened because that's how F1 kind of happens, and it's shady, but that's sports sometimes, unfortunately, which is really weird to say. And basically what happened, because of all the political strife, Haas pulled their sponsorship of the company, and it's no longer on their car. So the company said, okay, we're not going to send you money. And then Haas is like, okay, cool. We are going to take your son and replace him because your son is an awful driver and he is a liability.
Yeah,
He's a liability to drive. His name is Nikita Mazepin, and his nickname is Nikita Mazaspin because he spins out so much. It is concerning. These people are the best drivers in the world. I don't watch NASCAR, but if you're driving in one direction all the time, cool, it takes some skill. These guys are driving way faster and in like every direction. Yeah. It is insane. It is impressive. Their hand-eye is like incredible. I think Max Verstappen's like closing at like $40 or $50 million or 50 million euros per year.
Same amount as Hamilton.
Yeah, like they're one of a kind creatures, F1 drivers. If you're that good, you're amazing.
I saw like training videos too, and they're insane.
They're incredible.
Like the off track training, like the things they do, are it's like wow.
Yeah. But all in all, like Haas kind of called this bluff and got rid of a bad driver, and I think it's something I can't even pronounce it. It's like Felipe Peratoli or something. His dad was also an F1 driver, and it's funny because there's history with the other driver on his team, because each F1 team has two drivers. The other driver on Haas is Mick Schumacher, whose dad is one of the best drivers of all time. So
Legend.
apparently their dads have beef or something happened between them. I don't remember. I got to look it up. But this is one of the most like biggest endorsements of go watch Drive to Survive before season 4 comes out. It's coming out soon.
Yep.
I can't wait until what happens now, which is going to be like a year away, I guess, because they do it every year. Kind of gets onto the show because it's going to be amazing.
Yeah. The Drive to Survive is actually incredible. Like, yeah, it's coming out. I'm pretty sure it's coming out this week, this upcoming week.
I thought it was April, maybe.
I don't know. I'm excited. It's that and the polar opposite of what was that show? What's the
March 11th? Yeah, next Friday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's incredible. Like the it's as close to like like a sort of like typical like reality TV show as you'll get. And like you said, Bryan, they do it like honestly do such a good job of explaining. It's not like I'm not like a huge like racing like before the whole Drive to Survive thing. I wasn't really like into it, but I watched it because it was like really like well. I heard it was really like well put together, and they do such a phenomenal job of like explaining the backstory of the drivers and sort of like the drama and the beef behind it. And it's just like it really sucks you in. So yeah, I would second that. It's
I'm the exact same way. I had no background. My cousin and her boyfriend watched it, and I guess like her brother, and they kind of like watched it, and I heard they liked it. Then I watched this, and I heard recommendations, and I loved it. So it's that, and a couple weeks after, Bridgerton season 2, the corniest show on Netflix. I love it. I don't know why it's a problem, but those are the 2 things coming up this month, and I can't wait.
Awesome.
Okay,
All right, Nate.
So for my toque, I don't think we actually ever shouted out. There's not necessarily just one person, but a group of people, but our fans of the show get my toque this week.
Cool.
Without them, we wouldn't have this platform to, I guess, put together for people to view every week or every other week, and being able to have this podcast, have this platform, and talk about Quidditch, share stories about Quidditch, and have people kind of tune in and escape from reality, I guess, in some sense, for those who do tune into our podcast on a regular basis, especially with a lot going on in the world, especially recently. We won't get into that, but just having like this outlet for people to tune in, and especially without Quidditch really taking place here on Canadian soil over the past couple of years, besides the last few months in the fall, for like the bit of the season that we had. It's pretty nice to be able to have this platform for Canadians in particular to take in and take advantage of and enjoy.
We're almost at 2,000 views, I think. We're like just short of it. I can't find it on my phone of data. I'll check my computer, but we're almost at 2,000 views. Maybe we passed it. I can't remember.
2,000 more than what was it? Over 2 years ago we started. So
hey,
yeah.
And we had some big breaks in there too. So
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also thinking back too, like we started before as the pandemic. And that's 2019.
It's crazy.
It's all 2022.
Time's flying.
Yeah.
Time's flying. Yeah, it's awesome. So yeah, shout out to Ottawa Black Bears coaching staff, Team Haas, and all of our fans. Thank you so much. We love you all. Thanks for spending time with us while we talk about Quidditch. And yeah, we'll wrap it up there. It's a great episode. And yeah, we'll quickly plug our socials as well. So Nate has us on our Instagram. It's No Beaters Podcast. So follow us on there so we can keep up to date with when we drop episodes there. And yeah, we'll be back next week. I believe next week we have, or maybe I think it'll be the week after, we have our guest that we've been sort of teasing for a while, but he will officially be on. We're super excited to have him on. And what's that?
I said or she.
Or she, yeah.
Or they.
Or they, yes.
You don't know. No one knows.
You don't know, yeah. Yeah, hopefully not next week, the week after, we'll have our guest on. So I'm looking forward to having that. And yeah, we'll be back next week with another episode. Likely more MLQ updates. And we'll see what else the Quidditch world has to throw our way. So with that, we'll wrap it up and we'll catch everyone next week. Peace.